Well, Dan McTeague is a senior petroleum analyst for GasBuddy.com, and he's a former Liberal member of Parliament as well. Dan McTeague, first of all, good to speak with you again. Thanks for taking time to speak with me.
Good to be here. Wish it was another topic, though, Peter.
Okay, well, can I start by having you explain how the federal government is applying this new carbon levy on consumers in these 4 provinces? How will it work, and will everybody be sort of hit the same?
Yeah, everybody's going to be hit the same. In fact, most have already suffered the first hit of the federal government, which is $20 a ton as they work towards the $50 a ton. So that means in the province of Saskatchewan, you've seen a net increase with GST of 4.6 cents a litre, the same for Manitoba. Of course, Ontario, with a 13% HST, has seen a 5-cent net increase at the pumps. Of course, you may see higher prices here and there because of gas bar shenanigans, while in New Brunswick, with a 15% HST, has seen a total 5.1 cent net increase. So these, of course, are set in place for changes every April 1st, as I like to say, or my kids would say April Fool's Day. Next year, it'll be half that amount for the next 3 years until we get to a point where across Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba will see a net increase of about 11.5 cents a litre for gasoline, roughly about 14.1 cents, 14.2 cents for diesel, while Ontario sees an increase of 12.5 for gasoline, and of course 15.2 for diesel, very much the same for the Maritimes.
So how do those price increases compare to provinces that have already signed on to the federal climate framework? Are they looking, I mean, they're dealing with this now, I guess. Are they seeing the same kind of prices, or are these 4 provinces being hit even harder than provinces that already are part of the climate framework?
Yeah, well, BC has already had this in place for some time, as has been explained by everybody. They're about 9.3 cents a litre. Mind you, they're probably not too happy the fact that come Wednesday, they're going to be paying $1.62 for a litre of gasoline. So all of these things contribute to much higher prices. In Alberta, with GST, 7.07 cents a litre. So you're looking about 2 cents more than what they're paying, 2.5 cents more than what they're paying in neighboring Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Again, it's based on the amount of tonnage. Quebec, which has still a carbon tax, but actually known as a cap and trade, which Ontario abandoned last September after the provincial election and the decisive vote there, about 5.1 cents a litre, while the rest of the Maritimes seem to have found an interesting means in which they have started at about 1 cent a litre, but sooner or later reality is going to come to pinch consumers in Newfoundland, in Prince Edward Island, and of course Nova Scotia.
Now, you also note that these carbon taxes on gasoline come at a time when there's already going to be an annual spike in gas prices coming. What will that do to prices at the pumps?
Well, it'll make them a lot more expensive by at least 10 cents a litre. First of all, on or before April 15th, especially in Eastern Canada, so Ontario all the way to the Maritimes, you will see a transition from winter blends of gasoline to more expensive to make summer blends of gasoline. I was just doing a calculation a few minutes ago in the markets. It's poised to move up about 5 cents a litre with various taxes. So it's 5 to 10 cent, 13 to 15% HSTs. So that will put prices on average in places like Ontario up to the $1.30, $1.31 range. In, of course, the Maritimes, just a little bit higher, with the prairies looking in the vicinity of about $1.29 to $1.28 a litre. Then we are looking at the markets, which traditionally rise at this time of year in advance of a summer driving season, probably another nickel. So it's going to be a very expensive April, well before we hit the May 2-4 long weekend, or in the United States, they hit the Memorial Day long weekend. We're likely to see average prices in Canada tiptoe over $1.34 a litre, which will put many communities in the $1.40 range during the heady dog days of summer.
Can I ask you, I mean, given your experience in this with GasBuddy and the job you have now as an analyst, I mean, the thinking behind this is if you hike the price of gasoline, maybe it curbs driving habits, it causes people to buy other vehicles. What's your experience been when you've seen gasoline prices spike? Do people drive less, or do they just pay what they have to pay for the cost of gas?
Well, they just won't take the trips they normally do, which of course has a cascading effect on the rest of the economy. So if you're not going to take that extra trip, that extra holiday, you're not going to spend a little bit of extra money doing something else, it does affect other aspects of the economy. I mean, people don't have that discretion of saying suddenly, hey, I'm going to forego my vehicle. I don't know of many people who drive just for the kicks of it, but I also know that vehicle efficiency has increased dramatically and had nothing to do with carbon taxes, but everything to do with smart regulations, things like the corporate average fuel efficiency rules in the United States. I think we can get to the point where you will find vehicle efficiency, but I don't think it would be wise for anyone to countenance going out and buying another car and suggesting to people who've already indicated through most of the polling I've seen here last week that affordability has become the #1 issue, with unfortunately energy prices leading the charge in terms of driving up prices of just about everything, including and most notably the undescribed or certainly not talked about increase in the price of groceries. I mean, those are indirect costs that probably won't be helped a whole lot by the subsidy or by the rebate that's given. So I do have concerns about the overall impact this is going to have, not just now, but gradually on higher prices. And while it's not because entirely the cost of crude and things have driven up prices, the reality is that this certainly doesn't make things any easier, and it makes a bad situation a lot worse for most people who are trying to make ends meet.
All right, Dan McTeague from GasBuddy.com. Always good to get your perspective. Thanks again for providing it today, and we'll talk soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Peter.